Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started. Howdy do, y'all. Welcome to episode 47 of the Biz Bash podcast. This is part 2 of our Get Ship Done series. Everything you need to know about mailing invitations for your clients. So we know that it can get a little scary to mail your clients' invitations through USPS because USPS is the devil and the angel all at the same time. So we're going to talk through everything you need to know to deal with confidence, know how to actually get the postage amount you need for different kinds of funky envelopes and vintage stamps and all kinds of good stuff. And just kind of go through best practices for making sure your clients' invitations get there as pretty as possible. So before we dive into the episode, I'm going to read a review. Hold on one second, y'all. Okay, so this review is from our girl, Grace Langdon. And here's what her review says. It's 5 stars, obviously. Just kidding. It says, inspiring and oh so fun. Cami and Elizabeth, thank you for creating such a fun and easy listen that offers inspiration and confidence every Tuesday. I'm a watercolor artist offering mostly custom products and not invitations, but your podcast is still the one I make sure to listen to each week. Even when the topic isn't something that doesn't apply to my business, I still listen and learn so much, not to mention get some good laughs in. As a new mom working from home, this is something I can listen to and feel a bit more connected to a creative community, and that means the world to me. Thank you for being virtual friends that I get to hang out with during nap time.
Woohoo!
That was a sweet one. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
We love you, Grace.
Yes, thank you so much, Grace. That means so much. And we're happy to be your little Tuesday community group during nap time.
Yeah, Grace has been around since like the beginning. I think
she's definitely in the A to Z directory, and yeah, she's kind of like one of our gals. So yeah, we're excited to have that sweet review. And if you haven't left us a review yet, definitely hop on there and do that ASAP because we will read it on air and it helps us get found. But we normally say that at the end, but I'm putting it at the beginning in case you skip at the end. How dare you?
I think putting it at the beginning is perfect because since this is the new year, I don't know about you, Cami, I've been itching to do another like giveaway for reviews again.
I agree.
So like if people already submitted one, well, you're one step ahead. You would be in the drawing immediately. So just keep that in mind. We like giving away. We like giving away Amazon gift cards and such. But this episode is coming out like mid-January or something. So we'll do a little something at some point.
Yeah, we will since we get our dates together. But probably like into January, February, let's do a giveaway. So that'll be in like 2 weeks after this episode, we think.
Agree.
I don't know what date this is coming out, but it's sometime in January.
I can literally look right now. This is the problem when you batch things and you're like, I have no idea when anything is getting published.
I know. I don't know at all. You know for a fact.
Yeah, this will be the 14th of January. So like literally middle of January. So if we do something end of January, it'll be perfect.
All right. End of January, guys. Amazon gift card giveaway for leaving a review. For like what? You want to do $100? Let's do $100. We're doing it.
Yeah.
$100 Amazon gift card giveaway. If you leave us a review, you'll be entered to win. And also the reviews take like 3 days to post. So definitely do it sooner rather than later. So
yeah, get your name on that list. And I can't remember who won the first time around, but I'm going to go ahead and say they can't win again because I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
Sorry. Whoever it was, I don't remember. I wish I remembered.
Oh my God.
Was it Patricia? No.
No.
I feel like Patricia has won something from us, but
yeah. I can't remember.
Everyone's like, who are these people they're talking about? We also have to talk before we get into the nitty-gritty of all of this about our new / old product.
Yes. Okay.
It's like our something new and something old. I'll let you explain.
So we are, kind of revamped. So if you guys know, Elizabeth put together this fantastic product. I sound like I'm on an infomercial now. Anyway, it's called the USPS mailing agreement for calligraphers and stationers. She used to have it on her site. It is the game changer thing you need if you're mailing invitations on behalf of your clients, just to cover your butt, protect yourself. And so your clients have an idea of what's going to happen when you mail on their behalf. And you're covered if something goes wrong, which most of the time it will, just say. There's always something that goes wrong with mailing. So you're covered for all those instances. And we are bringing that over to Biz Birthday Bash to make it one of our resources, kind of to go hand in hand with our custom stationery contract. So this is just a smaller agreement, subcontract, if you will, to send to your clients at the end of the process when you're about to mail their invitations, and make sure they know it's up, you know it's up, everyone's happy and good. And that is going to be available on bizbirthdaybash.com. It's $67, a total steal. You got to have it. I mean, you really do. Like, it's saved my butt so many times. We can talk about, we'll talk about those stories of how the agreement has saved us. But anyway, just letting you guys know, that is launching this week. So very exciting. Go get that.
Super exciting. And unlike a lot of our other products, I don't think we're doing any sort of like, sometimes we launch something, Cami, and we do like a price increase after launch week. I don't think we're really doing this with this. That with this one,
we're just chill launch, you guys.
It's a little more chill. We're just moving it over to Biz Birthday Bash. It's exciting. Like we already said, it's exactly the same one that was on ElizaAnnCalligraphy.com. So for those of you who are like wondering, like, what the heck is going on? I'm undergoing like a big rebrand right now, and I'm not changing my name, but I'm redoing my website and a couple big things in my business. And one of the things that I knew was going to change was that I was no longer going to have any sort of products on ElizaAnnCalligraphy.com, including digital downloads. So this is one where I said to Cami, I was like, well, it would be really easy to just like migrate this over to Biz Birthday Bash and put it on there and make sure that people still have the chance to grab it. So if you did buy it already from ElizaAnnCalligraphy.com, like, don't repurchase it on Biz Birthday Bash. You'll get sent like the updated version of the document because we're going to add a few things to it, tweak it a little bit. But it is awesome because it's essentially like a checklist where your client has to initial every single item on the checklist to understand like how the USPS works, like to set their expectations. And that's why I love it. It's like, it's an agreement and and they sign off on it. But I think it really does a good job of just setting the expectation, which is like half of the battle anyways, when you mail anything.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, your clients are going, if something goes wrong, you're the person to blame. They don't think, oh, this is the mailman's fault or USPS or whoever. They always come to you. So you can say like, look, we actually talked about this instance that could happen. Here's where it was. I'm so sorry. It's, you know, it's out of my hands at this point. And just keeps you sane, basically. Like for me, it has. Sane.
For sure. And some people have asked before, like, well, why isn't this part of the custom stationery contract? Well, first of all, the custom stationery contract template already has like a little section on shipping, but this USPS mailing agreement is a lot more in depth, and it gets sent to your client right before the invitations are mailed. Because let's be honest, when your client first books you, whether that was 8 months ago, a year ago, or more, did they, first of all, even read the contract you sent them? And second of all, how much are they really going to remember? So, like, that's why I really like having these separate, because it gets sent at the point in the process exactly when this is happening. So it's very fresh in everybody's mind. So there's like no miscommunication or confusion or any like strings left untied, basically.
Right. And if you're not mailing invitations on behalf of your clients, you probably don't need this. But if you are, you know, people are terrified to do it sometimes. They're like, I'm not going to touch that. Like, there's no way I would do that. But this will give you that freedom in your business where you can offer that service and still be protected. So little way to just kind of up level your service offerings. Like my clients love that I'm like, oh, I handle all the mailing and everything too. And my clients love being hands off. And if you've been scared to do that, now if you add this mailing agreement into your process, you'll be able to add that on. So just a little 2 cents there.
Exactly. So that is now part of the Biz Birthday Bash family, which is very exciting. And Yeah, I'm happy about that. We have kind of talked for a long time about whether or not I would move it over, but I was like, yeah, I couldn't make up my mind until we like did the rebrand, and I was like, okay, like it's time for me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Making my new website extra pretty with Catherine, and so I don't want products on it anymore. It's just going to be like a service-based inquiry website, and yeah, more big things to come with that. Super exciting. And then Thank You Society will hopefully get some of my wax seals, which Cami, I really want to do an episode on like production for like you did your towels, like the process of like ordering, because now I'm talking to somebody about ordering wax seals from China, basically.
Yes.
Because the other company I was working with was like, this will be $8 per unit. And I was like, that seems like a lot if I were to buy a bunch up front for what they are.
Yeah.
But yes, so
okay.
That would be interesting to talk about. And that was kind of tangential, but we can dive into actually talking about what we're here to talk about today.
All right. What are we doing? Oh, yes. Everything you need to know about mailing invitations. So literally, guys, we are going to like start from the very basics, and not because we think you guys are dumb or anything, but just because we know like some people who have never mailed before, or like literally have never even like gone to the post office, and you're starting to dive into the world of stationery. It can be really overwhelming, and you don't want to, your clients are asking you these questions and you're like, wait a minute, I don't know yet. I don't really even mail anything at all, because let's be real, we live in a digital age. So we're literally going to start with the basics and then go into more like nitty gritty principles for mailing. And yeah, so it's going to be fine. But okay, so starting off with the basics, let's just talk about how much stamps actually cost. Like I know, like I said, y'all, I know this is like super basic, but the price to actually mail a letter, an invitation on the current 2020 price that I know of right now is 55 cents. I don't think it's changing. So if you're listening to this in the future and, whatever, it might be different. So you have to check on that. But right now, the forever stamp is 55 cents. And then 35 cents for a postcard. And then each additional ounce is 15 cents. Like with this knowledge, you can do anything, you guys.
I know. You kind of can. I had a horrible dream last night that my Christmas cards ended up being like more than an ounce, and I hadn't had enough postage on them. I dropped all of them off yesterday, and I literally had that dream, and I was like, no, how could they possibly be more than an ounce? Like, because I didn't bother to weigh them. It's just like a card in an envelope. So
yeah, I don't even think the post office, like, unless they're like, oh, this looks thick, they probably aren't going to like actually mail or weigh it,
Yeah. Right.
So you're probably fine. But once it starts like looking a little thick, like it's going to pop open, they're definitely going to weigh it, and then that cost will get passed on to the recipient, and they'll have to pay like 15 cents, which is ridiculous.
Or it gets returned, and it's all
or it gets returned.
Whole embarrassing thing, and,
or it gets delivered anyway because you got lucky. So
this is true. This has also happened before.
Like there is no cut and dry answer to anything. We are really at the mercy of USPS, which sucks, but also at the same time, I think the USPS is super fascinating. Like, I'm like, all these letters, they sort them. Like, I think it's so cool. So I actually have mad respect for them, even though I like hate when stuff doesn't get delivered or whatever. But like, for the record, like, I feel like they have a pretty good track record for like all the stuff that's going through, right? Like,
I think so too. I think that they deserve a little more credit than they get sometimes, because it's really easy to focus on the bad or the frustrating. But I had this thought the other day, Cami. I was like, if USPS decided to stop mailing letters, like that was no longer like a business, an element they wanted to keep as part of their like business structure, like we would be screwed.
Yeah, like I don't think
like that'd be the end of like, yeah, that'd be the end of like mailing invitations if they're like, well, it's no longer financially feasible to like send letters anymore. I don't know. It would be like devastating. So
I know, like some people get really angry when the cost of stamps go up. They're like, it was 50 cents and now it's 55 or whatever. I'm like, it's 55 cents to mail a letter all the way across the country. Like that is amazing if you really think about it.
That's like, amazing. It's amazing in itself. And what people often forget is like it actually literally is better for all of us in our industry, because it used to be 50 cents plus 21 cents, which is 71. but now it's 55 plus 15, which is 70. So you all saved a penny on that extra ounce. Don't complain.
Exactly. So there you go. Hopefully the pricing isn't changing when this comes out, but I don't think it is, but
I think they would have already said something. Like, I think they normally announce in early December, when it's going to change in January. So I hope not. I hope we get a couple years of this pricing, because I've been liking it.
Exactly. And then, so the specifications, it's a toughie, at this price point. So, there's 55 cents for the normal invitation, and then 35 cents for a postcard. And those specifications are based on like the length and the height, like the actual like dimensions of the, of the paper.
Yes.
I'm not going to like try to go through this chart that I posted here, because it's just going to sound me just rambling off numbers, but you can find those dimensions on the USPS website. I mean, a standard postcard is smaller than a letter. So
yes, it definitely is smaller.
Let's see.
Because like you have a lot. You have like a 5-inch minimum lengthwise for both postcards and letters, but postcards can't go like lengthwise. They cannot be longer than 6 inches, right? Whereas with letters, you can be up to 11.5 inches, which is your long bill letter, basically.
So pretty much under 6 inches. So any invitations you're mailing are typically 5x7, so they're gonna go under that normal letter size. Wait, what if like RCP envelopes? Could you put I guess they're not considered a postcard.
No, they're not considered a postcard because they're in an envelope. But that's the thing is like, you cannot confuse. Okay, so like,
you can't trick them.
Just because a card is flat and not in an envelope does not mean it's a postcard. It has to fit the size specifications. So like if you did like a big like mailer, you're like, oh, it's just a card. I'll stick the postcard stamp on it. But it's like the size of a large letter. They're not going to mail it. Like it has the letter pricing on it. It's really the size, I think, that indicates. Yeah, no, because I think a postcard literally has to have that.
Just
no envelope. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
I would not want to risk not putting enough either.
And honestly, like the amount of money you save is so minimal. Like, what's the point? So
right. Like, and this is what cracks me up too. Like when things happen with like a lot of times, like a stationer will quote their client for one thing, and then they go in the post office and discover we need an additional ounce. We need an additional 15 cents. And people like quake in their boots at the idea of like telling their client, God forbid, you need 15 cents more of postage on each envelope, which like if you have 100 invitations, that ends up being $15. So it's like, it's all about how you present it, guys. Like
your client is going to be fine with paying that to get their invitations out. It's really going to be okay. I promise. Yeah,
it really will be okay. At the end of the day, like you said, I feel like we're getting a pretty good deal.
Yeah, exactly. So don't let that extra ounce scare you. It's really okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that postage cost is determined. Basically, how many stamps you need to mail your letter depends on where it's going, the size, and its weight, which we talked about. The extra ounce is an extra 15 cents. And then if you request like certified mail, then it's going to add to the price, but you're obviously not doing that for wedding invitations. So forget I ever said that. That's not important right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, what's a certified mail receipt? I'm so lost right now.
Like if you, like some of our like our HOA people send stuff certified mail and it costs like way more. And I'm like, we literally live down the street. Just go put it in, like hand it to me. Like what?
Well, I can't put it in your mailbox. That's illegal.
Yeah.
But they can knock on your door.
Just hand it to us. Leave it on the doorstep. But I feel like mailing a check or something. I don't know. But that's, we're not doing that unless your client's mailing checks to all their guests, which would be sweet.
Yeah, when people mail checks, like most of the time they just put it in a normal letter, but on the chance that they can like mail it priority, that's like ideal because then it comes with tracking.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is way better. Okay, so let's talk about like what the heck is what the heck is the deal with a non-machinable surcharge? Like, what does that even mean?
It sounds very scary. I'll tell you
that. It does sound very scary. Once you get a hang of kind of like the formula and what falls under that category, it's not as scary, but we've listed out some things that you guys should consider.
Oh, is it my turn? Am I?
Yeah. Oh, that was like me passing the torch to you.
I got it.
I was just like introducing so that you could
that
continue.
Was very nice. Okay, so any letters that are rigid, like funky shaped, freaking square. Square is considered a funky shape, you guys. Bulky, so they can jam the machines, which costs the USPS time and money, you know, if you get the drill. So that's why there's that extra charge for the non-machinable surcharge, because these types of letters require hand canceling, which is basically just them putting a little mark over the postage stamp so you can't be sneaky and reuse them. So the hand canceling is weird because I've heard that some post offices actually charge you for this, which I'm not sure is allowed. Some will just happily do it, like mine. Some will let you do it if you ask, like, oh, can I go ahead and do it? And some will say that you're not allowed to do it because it's illegal. So again, it's going to depend on your post office, who's working that day, when you go, so many different factors to get the hand canceling, to request that.
Yes. But I think I want to define hand canceling. You talked about it a little bit. I want to define it a little more clearly because some people might be like, I have literally no idea what that means.
Okay. Yeah.
So normally the envelope or whatever you're mailing is canceled by the machine. And those are those squiggly lines you see. Like that's like your typical like mark you get on an envelope for postage. But if you hand cancel, that supposedly means that your letter will not go through a machine because it's been stamped by hand. But after we've done some research and talked to other people, like at this point, like with how automated USPS is and the machines they use, like your stuff's going to go through a machine at some point, like even if you do hand cancel. But this is what Cammie was kind of like talking about, is that like post offices have different like rules when it comes to this. So they actually, Cammie, are technically supposed to charge that like 15 cents per envelope if the postal worker does it. But most of the time, like in addition to the postage already on it? I think so, but I have never ever had that actually enforced. Like they are most of the time, like I've done it myself, which I've never had any of them ever say to me that this is illegal, but Sierra Claire has. She said she goes to the post office and asks to do it, and they're like, that is illegal. And I'm not sure whether or not that's true. Like USPS can be very arbitrary and weird. And some post offices will straight up tell people like, oh no, we don't do that anymore, period. But you guys, I like do it all the time at both of the post offices I use here. I do it all the time. So
same here.
Yeah, if your post office doesn't do it, I'm so sorry. But the best thing you can do is just make sure that there's like a little extra postage on there. So if it does get like sorted by hand at some point, you're not, passing on those fees to like the guests or getting them returned to you.
Wait, I feel like you're confusing people now. Like, you still put the postage like based on weight. So don't think like, oh, I want this hand canceled. Now I got to put extra postage on there so they hand cancel it because they won't like.
Yeah, no, that's true. Sorry. I guess I was muddling my points a little bit. One of my later points is that I tend to add extra anyways, like based on what they quote me, based on size, weight, etc. I like put that postage on there and I normally add another 15 cents.
To please the postage gods.
Exactly. Yes. Just to cover my own butt.
Yes.
But yeah, I do have a blog post too that like goes into more depth about like hand canceling. If all of you guys are like, what the heck does this even mean? But Cammie, I'm going to pass the torch to you again. Wink, wink. I'm making it super obvious. You have some hand canceling tips. Would you like to share them?
I will share my hand canceling tips. Thank you, Elizabeth, for passing the torch. Okay, so my hand canceling tips are to go when it's not busy at the post office. So don't go at lunchtime when everyone's trying to mail their stuff. Go at like early in the morning or like mid afternoon, like when people are still at work. bring cookies or like a little treat like donuts. That always makes everyone happy, and then they can't help but do it. I mean, seriously, I bribe them with sweets. Or you explain that their wedding invitations like really special, or say that they're your own wedding invitations, and they're usually like, oh yay, congrats. Like literally, you got to play to their emotions.
Yeah, but then if they see you multiple times, they're going to be like, wait.
Yeah, I mean, mine, like, no, I'm always mailing invitations at this point. I can't explain that they're mine. But like, if it's your first time, you can say that, like, whatever.
Right.
Get the hand canceling for a really sneaky client, you know, you got to get it done. Or just go to a different post office or offer to do it yourself. Because sometimes they just don't want to do it because of the time aspect, because it takes time to do it. So,
yeah.
So those are my tips. Just bribe them, you guys. Bring all the cookies, okay?
Yeah, be super nice. I try to always
and they'll remember you next time.
Yeah. And polite. And my like sweet spot is I kind of go like the weekdays at like 9:30 or 10, and there's like normally no one in there because most people are working. So that's when I like to go, and they're always really nice, and they let me do it, and I love them for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we already said this before, like even if you do this, there's still a pretty high chance it will go through a machine at some point. But the reason
does not guarantee it.
Yeah. The reason to hand cancel is you can like at least tell your client like, hey, I took this extra step. This is like supposed to help. We can't guarantee that they won't go through a machine, but I did do this for you. Of like, you know, like that's something valuable, I feel like, that you can tell your client. Yeah. You took the extra time.
Exactly. So, okay. So now that we've kind of covered that, the non-machinable surcharge.
Wow.
I love tennis. Okay. So some instances where you will need more postage, like just as a rule of thumb, like obviously we are going by weight, but this is like where you're like, I should probably weigh this when you're doing these kinds of sweets. If you have square envelopes, you're definitely going to need more postage. They charge more for square envelopes. Go ahead and add the extra ounce regardless of weight. Wax seals, you're probably going to need that extra ounce. I mean, you are going to need it, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, more than 1 ounce, like I just mentioned, that extra ounce. And then ribbon, where it becomes like a little bit thicker. Or if you have like a lot of double thick pieces and like an envelope liner, go ahead and add on extra postage, the extra 15 cents. Elizabeth and I both typically just add on more postage than we think we'll need because it's like insurance like literally insurance for pennies, you guys.
Yeah, it is.
So why would you not go ahead and do that? If your client is like budget conscious, sometime I'm like, you know, I'm just going to like stick this on here, or like vintage stamps. We'll go over a few extra cents. Like I don't even worry if it's like more than what we need because it's insurance for you, for your client. Looks good. Get more stamps. Everyone's happy. So,
you know, I've actually kind of like put something in place where I won't even mail invitations for my clients anymore if we don't do at least $1. Like I kind of tell them like, be prepared. Like $1 is the minimum for invitations. Kind of like even like kind of regardless of whether or not we really need that much. Like that's like what makes me feel pretty confident that they'll make it. Is like starting at $1 because that's the that's the 55
and your clients
cents.
don't balk at that.
No,
that's good. Mm-mm. Yeah, like save the dates. I have like we know it's just like one card and an envelope.
Right, of course.
Yeah, I mean I'm just doing most of the time they want to just go with a normal USPS stamp on that, and then we go all out for the invitations, and for those it's pretty much always like a 70 or 85 cents rate. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever done a whole $1. Actually, no, I did do that.
Yes, you've definitely hit really $1 on some things before.
Yeah.
Like because a lot of the times my envelopes are dressed in calligraphy, and I love doing dark envelopes with white calligraphy. And so, and a lot of my clients have been using wax seals lately. Almost all of them do ribbon. And like my most recent one had a liner. So I basically told her, I was like, we're going to do $1 of postage. And we might have actually done, did we end up doing 2 forever stamps? I think we did. So we were at like at $1.10. But I'm trying to like do this math in my head because 55 cents to, okay, so it's 3 more 15-cent stamps basically. So I'm just adding like 3 more increments to my base postage.
Yeah, exactly. It's insurance for pennies, so you just can't beat that. And you get to use more stamps.
And honestly, it's like really easy. Like that math is like very easy on clients to be like, oh, $1 per, like, at least the invitation. We have to factor in the RSVP card, but the $1 per invitation, I'm sending 100. Okay, that's $100. Like, and then it doesn't feel like, I prefer to try to add in a little more up front. So then I don't have to come back later to be like, oops, we actually need another 15 cents, because it's a very easy conversation to have. But depending on how many changes you've already made with that client, like, you don't want them to feel nickeled and dimed, but also don't eat the price. I just prefer to try to
go ahead and have it.
Go ahead and have that expectation set at the beginning of, like, based on my expertise, this is what I recommend is, like, insurance for wedding invitations. They're some of the most important mail you're ever going to send.
Yeah, exactly. Which kind of like leads to our next point of, like, the question we always get is, like, how do I know what to charge the client? Well, Elizabeth just tells them it's going to be $1, and then they're covered on all the different aspects. So, it's really straightforward and simple up front. I tell them, like, the minimum it would be is 55 cents, but it can go up throughout the process, because I'll provide, like, a options through the design process. Like, I have, like, a little stamp thing we do, and I create little selections on there, and it's like it all changes based on budget and stuff, so they choose from there. But, like, I add that cost on later on in the process, but really you just need to let the client know up front, and this will help you be confident to be like, it's going to be a minimum of 55 cents for each additional ounce. It's 15 cents, and we won't know until I have based on your suite weight, the ribbon, any embellishments. So I will have you an exact price or whatever at the end of it, or just charge them $1 or 80 cents, whatever you want to do. So that kind of thing.
Yeah. I just do the $1 from the beginning. I'm like, it'll be $1 for the invitation, and then we factor in the postage for your RSVPs. And I just, like, put those on one line, but I make, like, a little note, like, little bullet points of, like, how much is for the invitations and how much is for the RSVP. Because then that avoids me from having to do a lot of extra math and, like, changing it later down the line. And it's always better to overquote, because then if I come back to them and I say, like, hey, well, we're not doing ribbon or a wax seal, like, we can, like, bring this down a little bit. Yay, hooray. Like, I'm saving you money. Yeah. Like, I'd rather go in that direction. Which is why I do it that way. But everyone does it differently. And some people don't even, like, give a price up front at all. They just put, like, a 0 line for postage, and they just kind of, like, tell their clients, like, you can expect to pay based on, like, the guidelines we see on USPS.com, and they kind of, like, leave it at that, and they're like, okay, and we'll come back to this later. Like,
yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Mine says, like, 0.
Oh, you do that? Okay, you are one that does that then. Okay.
Yeah. Well, typically they want vintage postage, and I'm like, I have no idea because I haven't picked out any stamps yet, but you can an estimate of $800 for this because of, whatever.
Okay. So you put that $800 on there. It's still 0. You just fill in
0. It's like in the line item, it'll say like price estimate $800, just so they can like budget if they're like interested in that or not. So they just have an idea.
Yeah.
So they're not like blown away when I send them.
I mean, I still try to upsell them later by providing them different options for sure.
Yeah.
But I won't go in that too much because that's a lot of what my Stationer Summit class was about. So I can't give away a ton about how I do it. Because you guys need to get the Stationer Summit, so get on the wait list.
Yes, stationersummit.com. Okay. All right. So what are we moving on to?
Well, having an agreement in place, and we kind of talked about that earlier, how we have the USPS mailing agreement.
Yes.
And that will help set expectations with your clients. We were talking about like charging your clients, but I feel like we wrapped that up pretty well.
Yeah. And then, okay, so with the agreement in place, one other thing that you guys need to be very conscious of is sealing your envelopes super carefully. Okay, like this is like one of those things that I feel like people overlook, but it's honestly like one of the main parts of the process to getting your mail delivered. And in the one piece is having your envelopes to actually seal shut. So I don't trust envelope glue personally. So I use a glue stick. And if there's an envelope liner or like something or a wax seal or anything extra in there, I use a glue dot as well, like on the tip.
Mm-hmm.
Just like hold it down. Because like sometimes the flap when they have an envelope liner, it kind of like is more likely to pop open because it's just got like more tension on it. So I just add that glue dot like right on the tip there on the point of the flap. Just for like extra insurance. But Yeah, you don't want to lick your envelopes. Apparently, that's frowned upon. And if anyone's seen Seinfeld, you know that's how Susan dies. So, don't lick your envelope. From licking cheap envelope glue. It's like the funniest thing.
Jeez.
Anyway, I know some people do lick their envelopes. I mean, I'll do if I'm in a hurry and doing like one, but like I don't know. Apparently, sometimes it fails. I think
sometimes. I will say though, sometimes like the gum on the envelopes is really good because I ran into this with one of my images. What?
Did you say it's delicious or
no? Not delicious. Not in terms of taste. Sorry, not in terms of taste. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I can see how you thought that. Sometimes really it's good. So good. No, sometimes I mean it's like good in terms of quality because like I did an imitation this year where I was like I like wetting a sponge, but it's like barely wet. Because you don't need that much like moisture to seal them like with the gum, depending on what type of envelopes you're using. And I did about like 20 envelopes for an invitation suite that way. And then I was kind of like, what am I doing? I think they were like burgundy envelopes or something like that. I was like, what am I doing? Yeah. I should use my like tape gun because obviously that's like the safer route to take. Well, by the time it was all said and done, I was having more problems with the ones with the tape gun, like popping open along the edge than the ones I had used like the sponge on. And I was ticked. I was like, so frustrated. And I was like, I should have just stuck with what I was doing in the first place. And, but the good thing is because those invitations had wax seals, the wax seal acted, I think, is the additional almost like glue on like the corner to like keep the flap down, like even if it like didn't stick. So funny. But I've always like, I'm on the opposite like camp of Cami in that I wouldn't use a glue stick because that makes me nervous, but I don't know why, because like maybe like glue sticks as kids, like for crafts, like you use glue sticks when you want to be able to like peel something apart again. Maybe that's why you use it, Cami, because it like makes it easier to open.
No, it doesn't. I mean, like I keep it very like on the edge so it doesn't mess up an envelope liner. But it's like once you glue it, it's glued. Like it's not gonna come up. Like I haven't had issues with that before. Also, another funny point is that I don't remember who was talking about this. It was in the Facebook group, but apparently some envelopes, if you're like drinking wine while you're stealing them and licking them, the alcohol like negates the glue or something. Like
right. I think that's why.
That's a thing, right? I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I think that's part of the reason that like you should avoid licking because like it's science, guys. Like pH, acidity, whatever, all those terms, like things interact differently. So if you're just using,
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say if you're just using straight up like water on a sponge, you have like much lower risk, I guess. But
I did lick every single Station or Summit mailing thing we sent out. I just went for it.
Are you serious?
I don't know why. I got in like a flow. You know how you just like get in like an assembly flow? And I was just like freaking go. So every single person who got one of those things literally got some of my spit. So you're welcome.
You're welcome. That is hilarious.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we already talked about hand canceling a ton. So I think we can move on to the one after that. But just remember that if your envelope ends up being more than 1/4 of an inch thick for whatever reason, whether that's like a wax seal, a ribbon, it will for sure like that. It cannot go through the machine at that point, right?
Yes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's like the like width on the machine is like that 1/4 of an inch.
Where's that thing? I mean, honestly, you guys, you can just go to USPS.com and it has all their like stats on there, like measurements, weights, and everything. So you can get everything you need to know if you're like feeling a little iffy. Or just another huge tip, just go to the post office with a finished suite. Maybe go to 2 if you really want to and get their opinion on it so they can tell you how much it's going to need. And then, some stationers even have the post office signed an agreement that says like, here's what is said on this date, like that it was going to be 70 cents or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they can show that to their client. So that's like going even an extra further step. Because it really is like some post office will tell you one thing. Oh, it's like, that's why it's so frustrating. I think that's why everyone gets really scared, but you just got to do due diligence. And that's why we prefer just adding more than you might need, because then there's no room for error at all.
Yeah, no room for error. And I would say too, like if you're going to go and get something quoted, don't take it in with postage already on and ask, is this enough? That's the wrong question. You need to go in with like with your invitation, with the front of the envelope, with the address on it, but no postage at all. You need to hand it to them and say, how much does this need? Never go in and ask, is this enough? Because that'll get you into all sorts of trouble, because they'll be like, yeah, sure. And then, well, what good has that done you? Like, you need to get it from like ground zero. They need to have like no like clues as to what you're thinking of using or anything. Like, you want them to quote you like exactly what they think it needs.
Yes, that is a great tip. Good job, Elizabeth. I love that.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. And then another great tip we have here is to maybe take a little video of all of your envelopes stamped, sealed, ready to go, so that your clients can't say, so-and-so didn't get theirs, so you must have not sent it. Yeah, like I literally do like a little iPhone video of just flipping through all of them so they can kind of see it. It takes like 3 or 4 minutes to go through it all, but it's great to have in case you need it. I guess this is more like there's 2 nuances to mailing invitations. Like, one is like pleasing the client, the other is like pleasing the post office. So there's like so many different things, and then we can go into addressing, but I feel like that's another show, another conversation, you know?
Right.
So we won't worry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. I totally agree with that too. Sorry, I feel like I had like a mental brain fart and like blanked out.
Quite all right.
Can I tell you something I forgot to tell you? Sure. I saw a raccoon in the parking lot last night.
Where did this come from?
Well, I randomly remembered it because I saw something just now moving outside my window, and then I like drew a blank while you were talking, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Can I tell you something?
I forgot to tell Cammie I saw a raccoon in the parking lot last night, and here I was like clicking at it, being like, because I thought it was a cat, and then I got closer and I was like, oh God, that is a raccoon. And it like walked away, and I was like, I've never seen a raccoon on this property before, or the property I lived at previously. So I was like super shocked. I was like, okay.
That was a really good story.
Well, I thought of you immediately. I thought of you immediately, and that's why I was like,
"Oh my gosh!"
Tell her about the raccoon. Okay, I'm sorry. Back to the.
Okay, hold on. I'm not done. We're still in this tangent, because remember that meme I shared the other day, and it was like, I was like, "But why is this me?" And it was like raccoon under the mistletoe, and it's like, and then in the garage or something, it's like, looks like somebody's under the mistletoe, and then the raccoon's like.
Yep.
Because like that is not the most me thing ever. Like, I was like, did I write this? I feel like I did.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. Yeah, well, because I thought too of like your little abandoned cart email as like the raccoon, like pushing the grocery cart, like
so cute.
I don't know, like raccoons. Any like little like woodland creatures.
I love raccoons. They're so cute. We used to get baby raccoons all the time. My house in Tennessee, they're like the cutest things of all time.
I know, but like people like hate them.
I know. It's so weird. I was just talking to some friends today. We were at dinner, and I was like, raccoons are so cute. And they're like, oh, I hate them. They have the little mask and they got their little hands. And I'm like, that is the cutest thing. Oh my gosh. But they did not appreciate.
Yeah, so. I guess they're kind of considered a pest, because they'll like ruin parts of a house if they like build their nest in there. Yeah. But I feel bad because they're just trying their best.
They're trying their best, you guys. I know. We get stray cats here, so of course I have like food and everything all over the house. So then the raccoons come, and me and this one had this like standoff one time. It was pretty awesome. Oh, and this other time, now here we go on tangents. You got me started raccoons. But in Tennessee, when I was little, a raccoon got in our house, and my mom thought it was just our cats, because he was like in the kitchen, and he had opened like all the cabinets. He got in the cat food, like opened the cat food stuff, got it everywhere, like opened the fridge. I had like a little bead set, little kids making necklaces. Yep. He like got in all that, pulled books out of the bookshelf, opened all the books open. Like my mom came out and she was like, oh my gosh, it's not the cat, and like chased him out with the broom, and he was like, back talking her and being sassy, but
that is so funny that he like got into that much stuff too.
He really did. Like he like destroyed the inside of the house. Like he got into everything. I mean, the books cracked me up because I love how he had the books open.
Yes, right.
Like I think that's so funny. Like he's just reading and making some necklaces and having a little cat food snack. Like
this should be like you and Pop's next children book. It should be based off that story.
The homeless raccoon. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I can loop us back in because now I remember that we were talking about taking a video of the envelopes, and then you said something I totally blanked out. But I have something else to add about the video real quick, and hopefully this will get us back on track. I recommend doing this and keeping it for yourself until a problem arises, because I have run into the problem the opposite way of taking a video, immediately sending it to my client, and she goes, hey, this, and this envelope have like errors on them, which were most of them, I think, were maybe all three of them were errors like of things she had messed up. So it wasn't my fault.
Right.
But she still like saw them regardless. And at that point, like with our agreement we had and everything, like that wouldn't have been my fault. But it's like, yeah. I would say don't send the video to your client unless they're like, Uncle George didn't get his. You can find the moment in the video, pause it, take a screenshot, and be like, here's the proof from my video that like Uncle George's was in fact in the mail.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't want to come to your wedding. You ever thought about that? Okay, I'm sorry.
Oof, harsh.
Yeah, that's a really good tip too. Yeah, don't send it right away. Sometimes you don't need to put all your cards on the table yet.
No,
you know? Like,
yes, I have. Yeah, I've learned that kind of the hard way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. Where else are we here in these?
Did you already talk about the rigid part? It's considered a parcel?
No.
Okay.
No, why don't you talk about that?
If something is too rigid, it's considered a parcel. So this is where people end up spending like dollars, like $3 and up to mail a single invitation. So like if you're doing an acrylic invitation, that is rigid. It will be a parcel. Your postage is going to be so much higher than just the average postage because it gets classified as this parcel. So just please be extra aware of that. And if you do acrylic, like I know certain people will use these like special envelopes they say are great for acrylic. I think if I were to ever do that, I would do those like little 5x7 like gift boxes to like
same here.
Yeah, make it extra protected. But you really are looking at like $3 to $5 of postage when you end up doing that.
Yeah. So if your client is wanting acrylic or that's something you offer, you need to be aware of the postage costs. So at the end of the process, when they get all their pretty acrylic invitations back and you're about to mail them, they're like, wait, it's $5 to mail it or whatever it is. Like, yeah. So they're not totally surprised with that because that is a significant cost to over 55 cents or 80 cents or whatever you decide to do.
Yeah, so, right. That I said, like, yeah. I try to tell all my clients, like, we're going to do $1, like, as insurance.
Yeah.
And once you get, up there, it gets freaky. And our next one is always order some extra invitation sets in case you do need to mail extras or something happens to them. And this is just a great principle too, because even if you don't end up using those extras for your clients, you get to keep them as samples. And that is like super important to be able to like build your portfolio and share your work in the future. So I think that's kind of like a win-win.
I order like 1 million extras. So.
Yes, and people of course are going to ask like, does the client pay to have extras? No, that's like on your dollar. Like whatever you order, that is like money coming out of your pocket. If you decide to order like 20 extra of the invitations, whatever you do, like that's on your bill, not the client's.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I always have my clients, I'm like, if they say like, oh, I only need 173, I'm like, let's go ahead and do a quantity of 180. That way you have extras for keepsakes and whatever.
Yeah, you should always you should always recommend to your client to order more than they think they need anyways.
Yeah, and then order more on top of that for yourself. Just
exactly.
To have. Yeah, I also put this link here to these like postal addressing standards. It's just a really interesting page on the USPS, but we can put that in the show notes.
Perfect.
So that's not important. But I thought it was interesting. So like this is kind of getting into the addressing etiquette template. What am I saying? Territory. But the USPS says you should do the apartment or suite number before the road. To be like their name, apartment 32. Isn't that interesting?
Wait, really?
I don't think it really. Yeah. And then they also say don't use commas and periods on this thing. I just thought it was like really interesting. There's like a lot of like how to address for like getting it through the mail the quickest.
Huh. How fascinating.
I know.
But
I don't know like a ton about like, I mean, it's different than like some of the etiquette I've seen for, wedding invitations. So I don't know who you're going to go with. But anyway, I will put that in the show notes because it's a cool link to like kind of.
Yeah, and we could put my blog in there too. My blog that desperately needs to be updated. And I'm also scrolling through it, and there's a couple other things I'm going to add because are we getting kind of close to wrapping this one up? Yeah. We have some of our horror stories, but I'm like, I don't know if I can share those. It gives me a heart attack every time.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I feel like people know we've had some issues with like envelopes being popped open, or Elizabeth had the not enough postage on the square. Yes, like, I think we've told those stories before.
They've been told before in other episodes for sure.
Yeah, so we've definitely had some issues, and I know it was way scarier before I had the USPS mailing agreement because I had nothing to fall back on, and I would still just be like, well, it's not my fault. And they'd be like, yes, it is. You mailed them. Why did this, because things happen that you are not able to control, and you need that mailing agreement to have it in place so you can show your clients, hey, I literally cannot control this. Like, I need you to understand that as well. So just go ahead and not have horror stories in your business by getting the mailing agreement. Seriously.
Yeah,
guys. Like,
seriously.
It's awesome. I know. I forgot to send it one time with one of my clients. And of course we had an issue. The one time I forgot to send it again. I was like, oh
yeah,
God.
I feel like that's
But luckily, like there was still, it was like a pretty small issue. So there was still enough in the custom stationery contract to cover me on that. But if I had that mailing agreement in place, she probably wouldn't have emailed me. You know what I mean? She would have been like, oh, okay. So, saves you a lot of stress.
Yes.
Seriously.
Okay, so now that I'm looking at my blog post, I'm going to drop a couple more notes in here before we wrap up.
Okay, perfect.
One of them is that I once heard a calligrapher or stationer, I can't remember who it was, say that they like tell their clients to expect that 20% of the invitations won't make it. That's crazy. I think that's crazy high.
I think that's
crazy high. But I do like telling my clients ahead of time. It's very likely that some will go missing or some won't make it. I try not to make it super dramatic. I try to be like a couple might go missing. Like, I think 20% is like way too high. But you have to be aware that like not all of them will make it. It's okay. Just have things in place to be able to like help your client out and get it rectified and like make them feel better, and they'll love you for it. And the one other thing I want to mention too is I think this is the funniest thing ever, and it's the most random fact. You guys are gonna like crack up, but like mailing to and from Ohio is notoriously bad. Like,
oh yeah, we talked about this in the shipping or last week.
Did we talk about it? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we had a whole
I'm so glad. So sometimes I can't remember what Cammie and I have talked about on the phone versus what we've recorded. So if you guys missed that whole spiel, you can go back to the other episode. But the same thing applies for mailing wedding invitations. Like if you have a client who's either based in Ohio or they're sending invitations to guests, like a ton of guests in Ohio, just let them know it might take a little longer.
Yes, exactly. Ohio, where things go to die.
Just things go to die. Yeah. We're Ohio.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like that is a good like intro to mailing wedding invitations. I think we covered a lot.
That is solid. Hopefully. And you guys are going to be extra excited because in 2 weeks, our Q&Cake is going to be all your shipping questions. So this is just like the round of all things shipping. And like Cammie had said earlier, leave us a rating and review on iTunes. We would love to hear from you. We're going to be putting all those names in again for a drawing. So if you do go and write one, it's really helpful to put your Instagram handle somewhere in the review, like preferably at the end, because a lot of the times those usernames are so funky, like we've talked about before, we can't tell if it's you. So just a little tidbit if you want to get entered to win. And if you do have questions for Q and Cake, you can go to bizbirthdaybash.com/Q and Cake. to submit your question. You guys submit the best questions. It gives us all sorts of ideas for like content and stuff. And we look forward to chatting next time. Is there anything else you need to add, Cami?
And go ahead and go to bizbirthdaybash.com to purchase your USPS mailing agreement so you can mail with confidence for your clients.
Absolutely. It will be under the resources tab because at this point, we don't know what the exact link will be, of course.
Yes. And we love you guys, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Take care, polar bear.